Lucy just crucified us on the stand yesterday.
So I have witnesses to refute her. Matter of fact, one of them is a photographic designer from the Port Charles Monthly magazine. She's going to explain how that picture of you in the Cayman Islands could be faked.
What about Kevin? Let's get him up there to testify. He was in the Cayman Islands. He knows that photograph never existed.
I thought your relationship with him had soured somewhat.
Kevin's an honorable guy. He'll testify as to what my state of mind was during the kidnapping.
Well, great. Let's put him on. And who's next?
Me. I want you to put me on the stand.
Out of the question, son.
No, I want to testify.
Scotty, I won't have it. All you have to do is slip up once.
Oh, come on. For heaven's sakes, I'm not going to slip up. I'm an attorney.
Look, you could inadvertently open the door to a lot of harmful facts from your past.
I think that the jury should know my story.
All you've got to do is sit at the defense table and look as fatherly and innocent as you can.
Well, I am the only one that's going to convince that jury that I'm innocent.
I think maybe we should reconsider calling Jake.
No, I think we were right the first time with that. You know, old Jake is going to get up there and say what? Anything he has to say against Rex is just hearsay. The judge is going to know that. The jury's going to think that I'm desperate, that I got him up there to lie for me.
Well, maybe our last hope is Serena, then.
I am not putting Serena on the stand. I will not let the prosecution get a shot at her.
I was just thinking.
Well, you can just forget that right now. What if she accidentally said something and I got convicted? She would blame herself for the rest of her life.
But I don't want to see her up there either. Just arguing the merits of the strategy.
Well, going to prison doesn't scare me. But if Serena thought that her testimony sent me to Sing Sing, I'd hate myself. She is not testifying. That is the end of the story. Now you put me on. You put me on that stand.
Boy, everybody's staring at me like I'm some sort of traitor or something.
Well, after your testimony on the stand yesterday, the reaction doesn't surprise you, does it?
I just never knew that it would cause quite the stir it's caused.
Well, that is quite the understatement. Your performance was nothing less than crushing. It was magnificent.
Well, don't you think you should go on in and make sure you get that regular seat of yours? I, of course, can't go in, being a witness and all.
Yes, I will. I just want you to know that we are very close to getting what we want. That no one has ever come through for me the way you have, and I will never forget that. And Serena herself one day will thank you for all you've done. Susan.
Oh, boy, I hope so.
I can't believe I was so wrong about Lucy. How could she turn on Scotty like that? It just doesn't make any sense.
She certainly isn't the person I thought she was.
Well, in your experience, then, any photograph can be altered or even manufactured from scratch.
Yes. On a computer, we cut and paste. We take people out, we put people in, we put in light and shadows to match the images. I could manufacture a photograph of you shaking hands with the president, any president.
And it would look real?
You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. A T-Rex didn't really walk down the streets of San Diego last summer, you know.
And Scott Baldwin never fished in the Cayman Islands.
Objection. The witness has no knowledge whether the defendant was ever in the Cayman Islands or not.
Your Honor, this picture can't prove he was there because I can't guarantee it's real.
So are we winning today?
Too soon to tell.
So, I hear you annihilated Scott with that phony picture.
Well, that was part of the plan.
What plan? plan. Scott is on major damage control, and you're improvising moves with Rex so that it looks like you're really on his side.
Oh, brother, listen. I had to testify about that photo to keep Rex thinking that I am on his side. If I don't find evidence on Rex, then Scott gets convicted. He gets custody. Rex does of Serena. I'm not going to let that happen, okay?
Well, so have you gotten anything on Rex yet?
Yes, I have. By the way, I went to his house and I found out he's got these passports. So all I need to do is distract him so I can get a hold of them and prove he was in the Cayman Islands. I just have to come up with some major distraction.
All right, well, you call me if you need anything, all right? I'll do anything to help.
Hey, what did you do with my mother?
She's been admitted for psychiatric evaluation
For how long?
for 72 hours, and then they'll make a decision on what to do with her after that.
I'll tell you what to do with her. Let her go home. She'll be fine if you just let her go home.
Clark, we can't do that. You know that. Now, she was exhibiting signs of serious emotional problems yesterday.
She probably forgot to take her medication. Don't worry, I'll make sure she takes it.
Your mother needs professional care, Lark. It's for her own good and yours.
What would you know about it? You're just butting your nose in where it doesn't belong.
Hi, Lark.
What do you want?
I'm here to take you to the juvenile center.
Is this your idea, too? Now they're gonna lock me up?
You need a place to stay while your mother's being evaluated.
What happens if you decide to ship her off to some sort of asylum?
We all care about what happens to you, Lark.
Clark, we're not going to forget about you.
Gee, I feel all better now.
Time to go.
You two do-gooders make me sick.
Would you say Scott Baldwin is a devoted father?
Yes, I would. Very devoted. He's kind. He's attentive to his child's every need. The bond that they share is unusually strong.
Unusually?
Well, yes, considering the circumstances surrounding her conception and birth, Serena Baldwin is the fulfillment of his deceased wife's last wish.
Now, you went to the Cayman Islands with Miss Coe.
Yes, I did.
Did she ever mention the photograph in question here?
No, she did not.
So as far as you know, it didn't even exist until now.
As far as I know.
Has my client ever discussed his daughter's financial status with you?
Yes, he's been upset about it for a while.
How do you mean upset?
He believed Rex Stanton was trying to gain control of his daughter's inheritance.
Objection, Your Honor.
Counsel, approach the bench.
Your Honor, we must be allowed to present an alternate theory as to who is actually responsible for the kidnapping.
The defendant is the one on trial, Your Honor. Dr. Collins has no direct knowledge of Mr. Baldwin's problems with Rex Stanton.
He's right, Mr. Baldwin. I cannot allow Dr. Collins to testify about events of which he has no direct knowledge. Objection sustained.
So did you fly to the Caymans with Lucy Coe?
No, we traveled separately.
Is it possible that she could have gotten the photograph before the two of you met up at the hotel and never told you about it?
She wouldn't have done that.
But it is possible.
Sure.
No further questions.
Proceed.
Dr. Collins, are you and Miss Coe still engaged?
No, we're not.
And why is that?
We broke off our engagement because of Lucy's obsession with Serena.
What do you mean by obsession?
I mean that Lucy has made getting close to Serena a priority over everything else in her life. She'd do anything to be near her. I couldn't live like that.
No further questions.
You may step down. Defense, your next witness.
Call me next.
We're making headway without your taking the stand.
Call your next witness, Counselor.
Put me on that stand.
Scott, if you get up there, you are opening yourself up to questions about your past that can hurt you.
If I just sit here, they're going to think that I'm guilty. That's how juries think.
Would you just listen for once? Shut up and listen.
No, you listen to me. If you don't put me on that stand, you're fired. Smart, I represent myself.
If it please the court, the defense calls Scott Baldwin to the stand.
Oh, my God.
Raise your right hand. I gotta tell you, I really feel for Lark. I mean, having to live with a mother like that, That outburst yesterday was frightening.
Oh, tell me.
Kind of reminded me of Dad.
What?
She freaked out yesterday. It kind of reminded me of the way Dad used to get when he was drunk.
Dad didn't have some way of acting when he was drinking. The guy liked a shot and a beer, and sometimes he had one too many.
One too many. Frank, the guy got drunk a lot.
Nobody had to cart him off to a mental institution.
I'm not saying he was crazy. I'm saying the guy liked to drink. If he wasn't drunk, he wouldn't have wrapped his car around a tree. So I don't know what you're getting so bent out of shape for. I started remembering certain things.
He was a decent man, just trying to live his life.
Frank, I'm not bad-mouthing
You're comparing a man who got tanked every once in a while to some woman who went completely over the edge. Don't you remember what it was like when you were a paramedic? We see the worst of the worst, people who use their kids for batting practice. Dad was a saint compared to what I've seen.
Did you kidnap your daughter?
No, I did not.
Did you incur gambling debts?
I don't gamble.
Well, the prosecution has produced documents that seem to indicate that you owed money to a casino.
Well, they were forged. I don't owe any money to anyone for any reason whatsoever.
You know why someone would try to implicate you in illegal activities?
Yes, to get their hands on my daughter's trust fund if I am convicted.
Now, stop.
No,
Stop
but
right
I would
there.
like to explain
Now, please,
why...
Mr. Baldwin, let me ask my next question. Now, as to the trust fund, has the guardianship of your daughter ever been challenged by anyone?
Yes, I am being sued for custody by Rex Stanton.
Objection. Irrelevant.
Your Honor, the case against my client is based on the supposed fact that he needed money. Now, money is at the core of this case. Now, I need to examine the financial history of my client.
Well, that has nothing to do with custody.
It has everything to do with custody.
Overruled. Proceed.
How much is your daughter worth, Mr. Baldwin?
Over $100 million.
And where did she get that money?
I inherited from my wife, and I wanted to make sure that the money would be safe for Serena's sake. That is why I set up the trust fund.
And who controls the trust?
Me. I am her guardian.
And this man, Mr. Stanton, did you ever know him before he sued for custody?
No, I did not. I was raising my daughter by myself in Canada. He showed up and wants to take her away from me. He will do anything to get his hands on her money.
Order.
You are under a court order which prohibits you from seeing your daughter without a social worker present, correct?
That's true.
Have you seen her alone?
Well, could you define alone?
Without the presence of a social worker.
Objection. This is not a custody trial.
Your Honor, the question goes directly to the propensity of this witness to lie and break the law.
But could you stick to one point at a time, young man? I mean, either he's a liar or a scofflaw.
I'll allow the question, but be more specific.
Have you seen your daughter in defiance of the court order?
My daughter was frightened by a nightmare, and I went to reassure her. I don't think that's in the job description of a social worker.
You saw your daughter in defiance of a court order.
Yes, I did.
Don't you stand to gain as much from being Serena Baldwin's guardian as Rex Stanton does?
No, I don't.
You control her money, isn't that so?
I don't think in terms of gaining from my daughter. I think that she can gain from me, and that's why I set up the trust fund. And for you to imply anything else is pretty disgusting.
I suppose that's how Jason Quartermain's family felt. Tell me something, would you? Is it easier to steal from a biological child, Mr. Baldwin?
Objection!
Order.
Karen? Could you just tell me what's going on in there, please? Just something.
Why? So you can be happy if he's losing?
Look, there's something I need to tell you later. so
Lucy, Scott believed you when you said you were his friend. And he believed you when you said you protect Serena. But you had all of us fooled. And you know what? I think you are a disgusting human being. So you just stay out of my life, okay? Do you hear me? And get away from me. Don't ever talk to me again.
I thought you might like to know about your mother.
How is she?
She's doing better. They're trying to figure out how to get her medication levels back to normal.
She's being committed.
Your mother needs help, Lark.
I don't need you to tell me what my mother needs.
You're angry, and you have every right to be. This is completely unfair, but you're not alone. There are a lot of people who want to help.
Here's the 411. I didn't ask you for your help. And if it's gratitude you're expecting, you're going to have a long wait.
I'm not expecting gratitude. You don't owe me anything.
What a relief.
I didn't want to see you get hurt anymore.
I'm sick of people like you who think you know how to fix everything. You don't know anything about my life. And you don't know anything about what it's like to live in this place where you're just another pathetic kid nobody wants.
You're right. I don't know what your life has been like. But I don't think that I know how to fix everything.
Why don't you take that warm, fuzzy feeling you get from helping those less fortunate and shove it? I'm out of here.
Is there anything you need?
You're so smart. Figure it out.
Scott Baldwin was in trouble. He was a gambler. He did drugs. He had debts. He needed money desperately. Money that he, as an individual, did not have. Imagine how frustrating that must have been. It was a fortune, $100 million, just sitting there in a trust fund which he could only tap for his daughter's welfare. So Scott Baldwin comes up with a plan. He sends the FBI on a wild goose chase after a kidnapper. He enlists the aid of Lucy Coe, who smuggles diamonds to a ransom drop where he picks them up and sells them to pay his debts. You saw a picture of Scott Baldwin in the Cayman Islands where he deposited that cash in an offshore bank. You heard his best friend, Lucy Coe, testify against him because she could no longer stomach what he had done. Now, the defense will tell you that it was all a frame-up. They will tell you that someone was after Serena Baldwin's money. Well, someone was after Serena Baldwin's money, all right. Her own father. And he kidnapped her in order to get it. Ladies and gentlemen, there is only one verdict you can possibly bring back. Guilty on all counts.
In our system of justice, every person is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, what has the prosecution shown you about Scott Baldwin? Pictures, documents that could easily have been forged, witnesses who were criminals and who cut deals for their testimony, witnesses who were convicted perjurers in past trials. Anyone ever see Scott Baldwin gamble? No. Anyone see him fencing diamonds? No. Did anyone ever see him in the Cayman Islands? No. The prosecution did not prove anything. Scott Baldwin is a devoted father. And when his wife was diagnosed with cancer, they feared they wouldn't become parents, and after his wife died, a surrogate gave birth to their daughter, Serena. Scott Baldwin gave up everything in his life from that time forward to be a good father to her, to protect her, to love her. He set up a trust fund with the money that his wife had willed to him for his daughter, Serena, alone. All $100 million of it. Hers. Now, this is not the action of a greedy man. This is the action of a loving father. The charges that he kidnapped his own daughter, they're just untrue. I ask you to let this man go. Go home to his daughter. They have been through enough. Now, your verdict of innocent will send a message to greed and deceit. I ask you to please send that message and acquit Scott Baldwin.
Tonight on ABC Sports, see who will make our Olympic skating team as Todd Eldridge defends his men's title in the State Farm U.S. Figure Skating Championships. ABC tonight. Watch what happens on All My Children today.